I'm Rich, welcome back to my channel. I'm just going to do a few jobs on my Honda CB500 today, so let me just walk you around the bike and show you what needs doing. Here we go. So, slight little mishap today with this. I had it just parked outside the house and on its side stand, which is down there as you can see, but due to the camber of the road it was sort of slightly stood up, and I think the wind caught it and it blew it over literally onto its right hand side. Didn't do any damage or anything to fairings or exhaust or handlebars or anything like that, just literally just slow-mo keel over really, but as you can see it has knocked the brake lever ball end off, and it has knocked the, oh, he's a little dark but you can see, foot peg off on the right hand side. So fortunately for me I do have a spare. There you go, that's the end of the brake lever. So I've got one of those on order because I don't have a spare for that, unfortunately, but I've got a spare one of these from when I rebuilt the bike a couple of years ago. So just a couple of bits there to do. The other things that I'm going to do, I'm just going to tighten up the headers because they are, you can hear them rasping slightly and they just need tightening up. God, they look really rusty, but they're not, they're just, it's just surface as you get on these. And also I'm going to go ahead and I am going to take the restrictor out, which is just kind of like a oversized sort of washer with a funny shaped hole in the middle of it, which just really blocks the airflow into the carburetors, and just reduces the power of the bike down to 33 bhp. It's a bit of a throwback from the old days when you could get a restricted access license versus a direct access license. I've never had a restricted one, I've always had a full license, but so always been able to ride a motorbike of any size or power, but this would have been rideable by somebody on a restricted license for 2 years until their license was automatically upgraded to the full one. They don't do that now. It's several different stages and ages that you can apply for different size power licenses, etc. So all a bit complicated, but I think it's safer. Anyway, so this one has a restrictor fitted. So this bike actually tops out at around about, bearing in mind its factory spec is around about 120, this tops out at about 85. So these restrictors do a very good job. But you know, I don't need it, never needed it. I'm just going to go ahead and pull it out. So there you go. I'm just going to do a short little video of me doing that. That's probably about it really, just for the jobs that this bike needs now, apart from replacing those two little bits. And the only other thing I've got to do is I'm going to change out the wheel bearing in the front, because I am getting a slight little wobble on the bike, which is a bit weird. So I'm going to go and change the wheel bearing out. I've got one on order, so I won't be doing that today. And I've already, which I didn't capture on video, I've already stripped the front end off, as in taking the top yoke off. You have to get the handlebars off and undo this really annoying to get to nut with the handlebars in the way, 26 or 27 mil, I can't remember what it is now. Handlebars off, top yoke off, and then get to the adjuster nut underneath, because the forks were, if you get the front wheel off the ground and pull the forks backwards and forwards, there was too much play there. So anyway, I've gone ahead and adjusted that up and done that little job, but I'm still getting a little bit of wobble from the front wheel. So next job is replace the front wheel bearing, and I got a feeling it is the front wheel bearing because I'm getting a bit of a groaning noise when you pull away. So there you go, I think that's what it is. Anyway, I'm going to get on and do those jobs, so I'll just sort of show you steps and stages of it along the way. Yeah, and then this bike should all be good. Right, okay, so we're going to go ahead and get this tank off. There you go, breather pipes. It just pulls pretty much straight out. Let's just get that breather pipe out there. There we go, right. Got down there for a minute. Move the seat out of the way and get the tank up on the workbench. There you go, that couldn't be easier, could it? That was literally just removing the one mounting bolt from the frame there, and all you do is you, as I showed you in the photographs, you just set the fuel tap to off so that you don't, there you go, just show you down here, so that no fuel runs out of the pipe there. You disconnect the pipe running to the carburetors, you undo the mounting bolt, and you just extract the tank. You just pull it backwards. It's dead simple on this bike. The only other pipe that came away with the tank was the breather there. That's it really. Nice and easy. It's quite a good tank actually. It's not really too many marks on it. There's a bit of a dent there. That's one of those garage moments when something just drops on it. Doesn't actually damage the paint. Should be able to get in there and actually pull that out, which I'll probably do with a dent puller. Workbench looking incredibly messy. Look, just bits everywhere now. Just all the bits and bobs I've been using to undo the panels and that kind of stuff. So as you can see, what I've done is I've taken off the radiator side panels, I've taken off the side panels that cover over the regulator, electrical wiring, and the fuse box on the other side. I'm not sure if you can see that, it's a bit dark. No, not really. And that's it really. So yeah, it's probably about a 15-minute job to get all them bits off, nice and easy. Probably best you run the tank down before you lift that off. It just makes it very, very light. Moving a container with 3 gallons of fuel in it is not a good plan. So the reason I've done this is now I can get to the airbox, which is kind of the next stage of getting to the carburetors and removing the restrictor. So that's the next bit I'm going to tackle. So all I'm doing before I carry on actually is just a couple of little checks. Firstly, as you've got the tank off, particularly with this bike, it's really advisable just to make sure that your radiator is looking all okay in terms of the water level. That's fine, it's right up to the top there. You can't always tell just from the expansion bowl, because it will keep, if you can top that up and it will draw fluids in, but you can keep doing that and keep doing it, and you don't quite know if you need a bit more water in here or not, and you can't really tell the condition either overall. This is all pretty good. It looks whistly clean. It's nice and green, so it's the same colour as well, it looks pretty new, should say, so it's not got any kind of rust build up in there or anything like that, so that's all fine. Don't need to do any more there, but also just check the condition of the cap. Make sure there's no fluids leaking out or spitting out anywhere, just by checking it's all dry around the outsides, which it is, it's fine. The cap looks good, the spring's got some good strength in it, the wash is all fine there, so yeah, that's all fine and checked. The other thing I did was pull the plugs out. Got them over here, and you can just see, I think the condition of those you probably can't see on camera, but they are not too bad actually, nice and dry. There's no oil fouling, no fuel fouling. The gaps kind of look okay. Just with the naked eye, they look slightly different, each one of them. But the bike runs absolutely fine. So I'm going to go ahead and change these anyway. It just makes sense to change them, even though they look as they should. There's absolutely no harm in just popping a couple of new ones in, because they're just so cheap, and it is such a git to get to the plugs under normal circumstances, because unlike a lot of other bikes, you have to take the tank off to get to the spark plugs. Crazy really, but there you go. So yes, I shall go and get those changed out before I put it all back together. And the only thing you will need, as you can see, these caps, you can see, are quite long. It's because the plugs sit quite far down into the cylinder head. So you'll just need really a socket with a long extender. I've actually had to use 2 bars to reach right down and clear the frame and everything. And you will need a 5/8 inch plug spanner. So that's the only tools you're really going to need to do this. And that's it. So I'll get those bits done, and then I shall carry on with this airbox so I can get to the restrictor. Right, well, we're nearly there. I've just been taking pipe work and stuff off of the carburetors, basically just getting them ready to remove. You have to get the carbs out, to get the airbox out, you have to take the carburetors out, otherwise there's no room for it to move. And I need to get to the, in between the carbs and the airbox to get the restrictor out. So I've taken the, as you can see, a few pipes and bits and bobs. So the crankcase breather, the carburetor breather, the sub air cleaner breather. If you come down here, obviously the fuel pipe I've disconnected from the tank anyway. There's the water heater that runs down to take the sprocket cover off. You can see it just runs down to the water pump. You got the float bowl drain there, and then the water heater and the drain on the other side as well. What else have you got to disconnect? The choke cable I've just disconnected there. It's a good chance to sort of just check and inspect things like this, really, for wear and stuff like that. So the only thing that's connecting it all together now is the throttle. So really what I should be able to do is undo these 2 clips where the carb goes into the inlet manifold each side, and then they should just pull back against the should have to move the airbox back as well. They should just pull back against the airbox, and once they're completely free of the manifolds, they should just lift straight up. And then, yeah, you just need to get them out really, and then I can get to these restrictors and remove them, which is the aim. Then get it all back together. So it's always handy doing videos and photos and things like this, because you can see where everything goes. There's not too much to think about, to be honest, but it's always nice to make sure you're connecting the right thing to the right thing, especially when you've got fuel and water all going through the same thing. So there you go. Right, so this is as far as I've got it now. So you can see I've got a massive gap in the under the frame there, where the airbox down there used to sit, and the carburetors used to sit. You can see I've just pulled them away. Now what I've done, or I haven't done I should say, is I haven't detached the throttle cable pretty much every piece of pipework has been taken off, and literally all we have to do with carburetors is just detach them from the air intake and from the manifold side, and that's it really. You can just pull them away, nice and easy, nice and straightforward. They weren't too difficult actually when you compare to how difficult a set of carburetors on the Virago can be to on the XV535 just over here, how difficult they can be to wrestle out of the bike. But then having said that, you haven't got to get all the tank off and everything else, so but yeah, not too tricky. So left this massive space, and the reason I needed to create that massive space was so that I could get to these, and those are the restrictors. So not too tricky. Now I should just be able to pull those straight out. They just literally sit in a recess in the manifolds intakes. That's all. So they should just be able to pull out with a pair of stiff pliers. So I'll get that done. I'll actually show you on this spare CB500 engine I've got. If I just take, hang on, I just take the tissues out of there. There you go. Same engine. I think this is off a 96. Actually, this engine, it had something like 55,000 miles on it, I was told. This is one that I just basically did a complete nuts and bolts strip down on, right down to the piston, separating the crankcase halves and all back together. Completely cleaned it up, whistly clean inside, and put it all back together. Did a bit of valve work on it. I've lapped the valves back in and so on. Just needs re-shimming really. They're okay, but probably just tiny bit out of range now. I've lapped them back in, but anyway, that was that. But I just wanted to show you the air intake manifold, so you can see that that's actually going to be a fairly simple job, and then it all just goes back together. That was it really. So all I need to do then is the brake lever, the foot pegs, and I just then need to get the front wheel off the ground, remove that and do the front wheel bearings, and that's pretty much it. So it's not due for an MOT till January, I think it is, or it might be February, so be quite good to get this all back together. But yeah, I'll give it a little bit of a clean. I'll give that valve cover a bit of a clean before I put it back together, and I will also, oh yeah, I just need to put some new plugs in there, don't I, because it's got no spark plugs in it at the moment, so I've taken them out. There's the old ones there. And just see, there's not too bad, are they? You actually see they're just kind of, you probably can't see too clearly, but it's a bit too fuzzy, that picture, I think. Let's have a look. Try the other one. Okay, where are we? Where's the camera? There we go. Yeah, not too bad actually. Bit difficult to see, but there's too much light shining onto us, so you can't really see it. But they look to me absolutely fine. They're not worn, they're not blackened, they're not oily, they're not fuel fouled, they're not carbonised, they're not corroded, they're not burnt a white colour or anything like that. You can't see, can you, because it's just gone off camera. But yeah, they look okay, which I said previously doesn't surprise me, because the bike was running fine. There you go. So anyway, get rid of that. Wherever the other one's gone, go down here somewhere. There we go. Right, sorry about that. Not pretty good. Anyway, sub air filter media also. So when you take the carburetors off, just going into I think it's that pipe there, the big fat one there, that runs to what is this pipe here on the right, and round down into this, which is the sub air filter. Normally it's that there. Normally that's poked up just underneath the tank. It just literally sits on top of the rocker cover. Doesn't do any harm. Doesn't need to be held in place or anything like that. There's literally nothing under there for it to bolt to, in fact. I don't quite know what its function is. It's a sub air cleaner, it's not the main air filter, and that's the lid to it, and then that is the filter media inside it. which you can see is pretty horrible. It's kind of just a foamy substance, and I'm not just going to replace it on the cheap with a piece of foam. I want to make sure I've got the right stuff, because this is something that filters into a carburetor. You can't just mess around with carburetors with guesswork and cheap stuff. So I've ordered an OEM part, so I've got exactly the right piece of filter media for the sub air cleaner. So anyway, got that to do, and the plugs, and literally just remove those. It's crazy, isn't it, when you look at it, that I've had to get the bike to this state in order to get the bike into this state in order just to change 2 spark plugs, a piece of filter media, and to remove these restrictors. And that's it. Those 2 big metal discs sitting inside the air intakes into the cylinder heads. That's it, really. So it's not a job you could do if you didn't have quite a lot of garage tools, or a bit of an idea of what you're doing, really. So yeah, they probably are quite good restrictors to fit, because people, once they're fitted, can't really fiddle around and just take them off very easily. So there you go. Anyway, we got to that stage now, so just at the point now I just need to pull those out and put the whole thing back together. There you go. Right, just wiggling these carburetors back into position. So a bit of a fiddle, having to, yeah, should be alright. Yeah, there you go. Just getting them seated, really, getting them square on into the inlet manifolds. I think that's about as far as they want to or need to go. Should be good. Yeah, no, they'll go a bit further than that, because I can see that the distance between the body of the carb and the inlet manifold is a slight gap, and there wasn't one when I took them off, so I had to pry it apart with a screwdriver. Yeah, it just takes a little bit of fettling, it's be fine. Yeah, pretty much there, I think. Good news is you've got a lot of purchase to lever it all. Got to make sure it's airtight, no vacuum leaks. I was going to take the front wheel off to start doing that bearing, but I thought get a bit of stability by leaving it on. So yeah, that's all fine, I think. Good stuff. Right, well, let's good. Right, just need to button it all up now with the clips. Right, well, I didn't do that on camera. Like a lot of these fiddly little jobs, they take absolutely ages. So I'm just nipping up the bolts on the Jubilee clips from the airbox to the carbs. I've already done from the carbs to the inlet manifolds. They were a bit fiddly. I think, to be honest, it's far better that you put those clips onto the inlet manifolds loosely before you start pushing the carbs on. That gets them in position, really, because it's very difficult to hold the little square nut, which is held captive in the clip whilst you're putting the bolt through. Whilst it's held captive, you do need to sort of hold it in there with a bit of, you know, or what would you use? Just some grease, really, just to hold it in place. That's it. So there you go. They're all nipped up now. So it's just a question of looking at what pipe work we need to get back together. So there's not too much there. It's just literally pushing a few pipes on, and then we can just start chucking it all back together. That's it. Okay.